So many games, so little time. In the next half hour, we treat you to some detailed reviews, Spec Ops The Line and Inversion, two third-person cover-based shooters. We also take a look at Far Cry 3 and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Bobby, and you've just entered The Lab. This game has taken a lot of heat since its release on June 5th. It's been dubbed as a weak Gears of War ripoff. But here in the lab, we like to take an objective look at games and not just spew cynicism like a bunch of trolls. We don't just bash a game for being a clone. Because when you think about it, almost every game out there now has done some cloning from some past title. I mean, it's not like first-person shooters started with Modern Warfare 3. So with that said, here's our unbiased review of Inversion.
Now, this is a perfect example why one should never base their choices on reviews alone, because to this day I have yet to see a positive or even accurate review of this game.
Maybe that's just how things are on their planet.
Now, while I'm not saying this game is going to be the next big thing or even worthy of a sequel, it certainly isn't nearly as bad as the critics say it is.
Okay.
I think gamers and reviewers alike should remove themselves from the politics of the game industry and just focus on the real purpose of video games, to have a good time. It seems to me that most people came down hard on Inversion for one particular reason: its similarities to Gears of War, and to me that's just biased politics talking.
Wish us luck! You're gonna need it!
Now, the story of Inversion is one of the first things I noticed that came under heat. But in my opinion, it was a good story. One of the strongest parts of this game, actually. Not a great story, especially as the game progresses closer to the end. It got a bit weird, but still a good one. Aliens have invaded the Earth, rounding up all the kids and enslaving and slaughtering the adults. Your character is David Russell, and along with your friend Leo Delgado, you're on a mission to find your daughter. The story, I suppose, like most things, are totally subjective. Now, most of the business regarding the aliens are a bit up in the air, no pun intended, but the whole search for your daughter thing works for me. I guess if you have no kids, it'll have no effect on you, but I didn't mind playing a game about an alien invasion that basically had nothing to do with saving the rest of the planet. Been down that road enough times.
Come on! You gonna weigh in on this?
Don't know. Don't care. All I know is someone's gonna pay for taking my little girl.
Amen to that.
Now, the story and the abundance of checkpoints are really the only two things that went down in my good books for Inversion. I'm not saying the game is bad, but everything else about Inversion leaves it hovering a little above an average game.
We'll see about that.
The graphics in Inversion are nice. I guess nice is a silly and probably meaningless word, but that's the best way I can describe the visuals, as there is nothing groundbreaking about them, but they do get the job done well enough.
These bastards have us pinned! Never moving out until we take out all those defenses!
I also like the voice acting. This is a term I use a lot to describe acting in video games for my reviews, but it was good B-movie acting. Nothing to break the experience.
Here they come! About 200 yards away! Let's get out there!
The overall gameplay was also good. The controls were smooth for most part. Didn't feel broken. Now, there were some times when they were a downright pain, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Davis, we gotta break open those planks. Use the grav link.
The addition of this new device called the grav link was another nice touch. Helped to set the game a bit further apart from Gears of War. Now, at first the grav link seemed like a gimmick to do just that, but after playing the game through to the later levels where you can actually upgrade this grav link, I got to really appreciate it. I didn't really see its true purpose at first, and based on the reviews I watched, my mind was initially poisoned. But the grav link is good, especially when you grab an enemy from afar, pull him in, and completely annihilate him. The destructible environments were also cool, but like I've said before in other reviews, destructible environments are usually, if not always, inconsistent. Sometimes there's no explanation for why certain things can be broken down and certain things can't.
Hey! Last time I checked, ain't none of you professors. So don't waste your time theorizing.
One of the blatant ripoffs from Gears of War would be the executions, but ripoff or not, a good execution is always appreciated. The weapons for most part were very effective and you have a pretty decent selection to choose and refuse from.
This is some real firepower.
The multiplayer, which I'll try to get into in the lobby another day, was also good. Of course, this game taking the beating it has naturally is going to be hard to find a match so far from its release date, but if you do, it's good times. Also, great big thumbs up on the co-op campaign. Now, although this game isn't a masterpiece, I have reason to believe it wasn't rushed out the gate like some other titles who had their weak co-op component released after the game's launch. So yeah, no tacking on here. Here are some of the bad points of Inversion though. Nice or not, this game does have its fair share of flaws. First up on the block for a healthy chopping. You can't seem to really stop a reload. This is garbage, but at least they didn't in their cloning of Gears of War decide to include that silly active reload system. But yeah, you should always be able to stop a reload, especially with a shotgun. Another thing, your enemies, most of them look like a copy and paste job of the other, and you fight the same guys too many times, to the point where it actually becomes painfully boring. Then simple things like this. I've seen it in other third-person games, but that doesn't make it okay. Having to press a button to jump down. I don't like this one bit. If I fall off a ledge, then so be it. I'd like to have that option. This way of doing things just annoys me and it breaks my momentum. Maybe they should have taken a page from the guys at Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Now those guys got it right.
Secure the sensor emplacement located here.
Then there's your team member's AI. I guess this game would have been better in co-op mode because Leo is a complete idiot.
So what's the plan, Chief?
Then the glitches. Yeah, I said I don't think this game was rushed, but these glitches kind of make me want to rethink that. Now back to the controls. Smooth for most part, but very clumsy in midair. I hated these moments. In retrospect though, I have to be reasonable and ask myself, how would I actually control myself in real life if I were floating in midair? Who knows?
Davis, grab some objects and try smashing open a pathway with your grappling.
This is bad, but not bad for all players. The linear gameplay. Some of us like the options of taking branching paths, while some don't mind that old school Contra feel where you go where the game tells you. So this is okay and bad depending on your preference. Me, I don't mind not having to choose. I'll save that for my adventure and RPG titles. So I leave that one up to you to decide whether it's good or bad, but the game is very linear though.
Hey guys, looks like my get out of prison card came in handy, eh?
The camera. Very annoying. I'm still waiting for devs to figure out how to create a proper camera in a third-person game. But while this isn't always horrible in all third-person games, it's pretty noticeable in Inversion. Bullet damage. The Lab video game television has been around since 2003, and if you've been following us since then, you'll realize there's certain things that I just never let slide, and bullet damage is one of them. If you want to say fine, you're an alien and bullets don't affect you like they do humans, okay. But the fact that they do eventually send you to that final resting place means they do make significant impact, so if you're getting shot, you should act accordingly. That's all I'm saying. The last thing. It might seem like a small thing, but what I've grown to realize with games is this. When playing a game on the hardest difficulty, every little thing counts. Now, these guys have a tendency to move off real slow and cool when you're trying to get into a sprint. This can be really annoying when under heavy gunfire. Trust me on this one. So, that's that, my detailed review of Inversion. The game is no groundbreaker, but not nearly as bad as some people say it is. And with all that said, the lab gives Inversion a 7 out of 10.
We got what we needed.
After the break, we stop by Straight Games to talk new versus used game sales. We also review Spec Ops The Line and quite a bit more. Join us. We stop by our friend Gregory Moore of Straight Games to get his take on the sales of new games versus used games.
Well, here at Straight Games, our core business is actually used games. We do sell new games, but our core business is used games, used accessories, used consoles. And the reason why we chose this line of business is simply because we understand the economy, worldwide, but for Jamaica, there was never really a resource for persons to actually go and purchase games at affordable prices, because you had to always get them new. And then after you finish with that game, you pay a lot of money for the game, and when you finish, you either have to give it to a friend, try and exchange it with someone, or hand it down to your other family members, that kind of thing, or they would usually stay in the corner and gather dust. Now what we allow customers to do is actually bring in those games, right? When they bring in the games, they'll actually get store credit for the games, and then the store credit will be subtracted from a game that they want to purchase. What we do once we receive a title, we go through a testing session. We also do a refurbish on the game. So we actually invested a lot of money in industrial equipment that actually bring those discs back to almost brand new condition. So when a customer actually purchases a used game, when you look on the surface of the disc, it actually looks brand new. The benefits of this is pretty much, the main point is that you save a lot of money. You can get a used game for pretty much 50% or less, versus purchasing that same title new. And when you're finished with it, you can actually get back more, get value for that game by bringing it back into the store. I think Jamaica needed something like this, because not everybody's pockets are deep. And then you have persons that have video game collections that there's this hard to find title that may have come out a couple of years ago. So as you can see, we have a pretty wide collection of games available, and we do stand by our titles. So once you purchase a game, you don't have to worry about it not working, or you're having problems with it. You always you just give us a call. If for instance you do have a problem with it, we stick by the games. So you just bring it in, or you give us a call, and we'll be happy to facilitate whatever move you want to do next. For the industry itself, we all know that the video game industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you have large corporations overseas that actually benefit from the used game business. I mean, you could compare it to the used car business. Not everyone can actually go and purchase a brand new car, but you realize that people take good care. They get cars back up to scratch, they certify them, and they get them back on the road. So the same type of business model applies to the used game business. For generally speaking, yes, the developers, the persons who create the games, they're not the immediate beneficiary of the used game industry. It actually boils back down to the company that has decided to sell the used games, and is really just providing a service. The games have already been purchased. It's just a matter of cycling them through, instead of you putting them down, or you storing them in a corner, that kind of thing. So I believe it is something that is needed, and I saw it, and I decided to get into it. And I mean, it's been a struggle for a while, but eventually we kind of got to a place where persons know more about the store, and they're coming in and getting their used games. Okay, so apart from selling used games, straight games, we consider ourselves game advisors. We have brand new games. We also, we do pre-orders here. So, for big titles that coming up, especially Black Ops 2, we actually have started our pre-ordering service already. And the benefit of this is that you can actually bring in your old copy of Call of Duty, and you can get up to 60% off with just one title. For the new Black Ops 2, we'll have the game on release night. We're thinking about having a decent launch here, so I think it's something to capitalize on. We have brand new consoles, we have brand new accessories, we have original, we have generic, everything to fit your price point. You can come in. We're happy to assist you with a decision that you want to make, especially if you're a parent and you're not sure what to get for your child. We're advisors. We read up about this stuff. We study this thing, because this is our business. It's something we've been doing for 6 years. So you can come down to Straight Games. We're in Sovereign Center. This Christmas is going to be excellent. We're actually going to be setting up a mailbox, a Santa's mailbox, so you can put the wish list of your kids here, and we'll definitely get everything that you want to get. So come down to Sovereign Center. Our number is 631-2329. You can call and we'll be very happy to assist you.
Here we take an in-depth look at Spec Ops: The Line.
Now let me just be cut and dry about this one. Spec Ops: The Line is so far my biggest disappointment in games for 2012. Not to say it's a crap game, but I guess my expectations were a little bit too high for this one.
You're kidding, right?
Let me try to smooth this out by first pointing out the things I liked about Spec Ops: The Line. I like the voice acting. Yeah, very good, very convincing. The actors knew what they were doing and proved it here.
Captain Walker.
He's armed. It's okay. Hold your
I
fire.
also like the usefulness of the squad members. There's more to say about the squad, but I'll leave it here for now. They were very useful.
No! What the hell? Hold your fire!
This game touches on some very dark areas. Now, this is another aspect that I'll elaborate on while pointing out some things I didn't like about Spec Ops, but for now I'll say I like the no-holds-barred approach to the dark subject matter.
The soldier could have led us to Conrad.
Yeah, or an ambush.
Don't know that.
True. But that's a call I made, and I gotta live with it.
Executions. Like I've said before, nothing like a good execution move to get the day off to a good start. Unfortunately, this is another thing I'll have to revisit in my dislike section of this review.
Captain Walker, we're all that's left at the damn 33rd.
Now, I hope you paid attention to the spoiler alert. While this isn't necessarily a huge spoiler, it does involve the ending. I like the way the game wound down. No huge boss battles or anything like that, it just came to a nice, calm end.
There. Finished.
Now back to the squad. These guys are what I'd like to refer to as useful idiots. Now they do a great job of helping to cut down the enemy's numbers, and with a tack together squad command option you are able to direct their fire to specific targets. But these two guys are still idiots, as they'll most of the time put themselves in pretty bad spots where you have to expose yourself to great peril just to save them.
Let's get back in it! You're gonna be okay!
And where the savior crap thing is concerned, the devs should have implemented a bleed out system for you as well so they could come get you when you're incapacitated.
So where we at?
According to Gould's map, the gate's dead ahead.
All you boys in brown out there in radio land, I'm happy to report that Agent Gould has left the building.
The story. Now this should go straight to the garbage bin of this review, but I'll try to be a little less biased. The story seems like other parts of this game, really tacked together and pointless. To the very end I was asking myself, what is this crap? I really believe they could have put this whole evacuate Dubai thing to better use. Yeah, the story was weak and the voice acting couldn't help it. But maybe there are a select group of people out there who could actually relate to it, who knows?
What the hell is going on?
The controls in Spec Ops for most parts are good, with the exception of some unresponsiveness, usually experienced while moving in and out of cover or trying to turn and run. This feels really awkward and got me killed many times.
What? Oh no.
The line mentioned in the title kind of goes into the whole story aspect of this game, but I'll separate it because whether the story was good or not, these decisions you were given did stand out. Now, neither the characters, the story, or these choices had any kind of a real impact on me though. The overall game was just very dry. Again, no pun intended, but even the darkest of decisions I just really didn't care. Didn't move me one bit, and sometimes games do move me, just not this one.
Yeah, it is. That's why Gould stormed this place. He didn't want the gate.
He was trying to rescue his people. This is your fault, goddammit! Stop right there, Bruno! But it is! He wouldn't listen! He turned us and killed us!
The graphics here are cool. Cool but disappointing. When I saw the clips prior to release, I thought this game was going to be unbelievably beautiful, but it was not. It's particularly ugly during multiplayer actually. I guess the whole Unreal Engine thing has done its days.
God damn.
Repetition. This game is so repetitive. You do the same things over and over. There are a few times when you might be hanging off the side of a truck or man the guns in a helicopter, but other than that, It's just the same old, same old. You walk a bit, talk some garbage while listening to your teammates whine like a bunch of high school girls about the atrocities they just witnessed or committed. Then you're under attack. You run for cover, peep out, shoot, clear the way, then move on to some more of the same.
They got nowhere to run! Finish it!
Co-op challenge mode. Now let me make this clear to you all. This game was rushed. I wasn't there when it was being developed, but from where I'm standing, all fingers point to the rush factor. All the points I've made before, including these to come, all lead me to believe this was a rushed out the gate title. Now a game like this needs to have co-op campaign, but no. What we get instead is this challenge mode crap, another one of those horde mode style co-op experiences coupled with some objectives. Nothing wrong with a little horde mode, but just like in Gears of War and Inversion, give us the option to play through the entire campaign co-op, even if there is no system link. I'll settle for at least an online co-op campaign mode. This just seemed tacked on. And further proof of this is illustrated by the fact that this was not included in the game at launch. We had to wait a few months to download it. It was free, but that doesn't make it a better experience. The destructible environments were unimpressive, as I've seen it all before, but worth mentioning were these particular spots where you could shoot stuff down and use it to your advantage. Still useless crap though, as I hardly ever saw the need for it. As a matter of fact, it was just for show. Nothing you needed or would probably ever remember to do, other than these particular spots where you had to interact with the environment in order to progress.
Form up on me. Let's move.
For some reason, the checkpoints seem further apart than I'm used to. Maybe it's because this game wasn't really that great to begin with, and it pained me so much to have to start over at any given point.
Put him down!
You can't run and reload. Now, when will this madness end? Please devs, leave this crap in the Call of Duty titles and not spread this madness any further. At this point, Call of Duty devs could have their characters prancing around in pink leotards and people would still rush out and buy the games. But for these little games, barely getting their heads above water if at all, don't try to clone the follies of the bigger boys. Because trust me, that's crap. Be Call of Duty or some no-name title on the Xbox Arcade. Not being able to run and reload or shoot is just plain stupid.
Shut up, jackass.
You can't go prone. Now come on. Now, it's not like this game was designed in a way that you would never need it. I've found myself in countless spots where I'd love to go prone and pick off some guys, but again, no, that's asking too much.
We're getting overrun! He's running closer!
There are these specific enemies that for some insane reason choose to bring a knife to a gunfight. Now okay, let's say the excessive heat and sandstorms have driven some people mad. Mad to the point that they would actually try this. But my question is, why are these knife-wielding lunatics only after me? Now I've seen it time and time again where these guys run right past one of my squad members and go straight for me. They never try to kill your teammates, and equally retarded, your teammates allow them to run right by without doing anything to them.
Engage the target!
Anyway, with all this out on the table, with all this game's down points and just a few ups, the lab gives Spec Ops The Line a 6 out of 10.
Wow. If I wasn't a hardened killing machine, I might have hurt.
Stick around. After the break, we take a look at Ghost Recon Future Soldier and Blacklight Retribution in the lobby. Set for release on December 4th, here's a sneak peek at Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3 seems to be shaping up as one really deep RPG action-adventure game. I was never really into the sandbox open world games as I much prefer my goals to be clear before me. But a change of pace can be a good thing. Far Cry 3 looks like it's gonna require a lot of commitment from gamers. Other than your usual stealth and head-on attacks, you'll be hunting wild animals, shopping for guns, and a whole lot more. I wasn't able to get too far in Far Cry 2 as it wasn't anything like Far Cry Instincts, which was the first Far Cry game I ever played that I was able to play to completion, as it wasn't a sandbox style game. I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot though. The co-op element in Far Cry 3 is also something I've got my eye on. It looks really interesting, and that's just me. I'm always up for some good co-op action.
Today in the lobby, we check out some multiplayer in Ghost Recon Future Soldier for the 360 and Blacklight Retribution for the PC, plus DLC 4 from Modern Warfare 3.
Okay, first up, Ghost Recon Future Soldier. It took me a while to get my hands on this title, but I'm glad I did. Future Soldier offers me something that's hard to find in multiplayer military shooters today, a change of pace. Most games I've been playing are either very similar to Call of Duty or Gears of War. First thing I noticed was the absence of any kind of team deathmatch experience. This concerned me at first since team deathmatch is my favorite type of multiplayer, but then I realized something, or at least remembered something. Even though games like Battlefield and Modern Warfare 3 say team deathmatch, there isn't much teamwork involved. In Future Soldier, however, the simple fact that you get higher scores for team efforts than being a lone wolf killing everything in sight motivates you to be a team player. Doing simple things like spawning or pulling up next to a teammate gives you points. There's lots of other team-based actions that adds to your overall score in a match, but I'll go into it more in another lobby at another time. The points of these points, though, are mainly to visit the gunsmith section of the game, a truly in-depth weapon modification mode. You can also change other things, you can also customize your soldier's appearance and so on, but the gunsmith, it's definitely worth checking out. Something else I'll revisit after leveling up a bit more, but for now I'll leave it at this. Ghost Recon Future Soldier, a really good multiplayer experience so far. Next we have the latest and final piece of DLC from Modern Warfare 3. DLC 4, Final Assault. Now, here's what I've noticed about Modern Warfare 3. I've said it before, I got tired of this game after reaching level 80 and didn't really see the point of going to Prestige, but here's what I learned. The best way to breathe new life into this already great multiplayer experience is to download new maps. It kind of feels like you're playing a new game. We have Boardwalk, Decommission, Parish, Offshore, and Gulch. My favorite of the bunch would be Gulch and Offshore, but they're all pretty good and worth the cash I spent on the points. I'd advise any Modern Warfare 3 fan to download at least DLC 4 if you haven't downloaded any of the others. To be playing Modern Warfare 3 on the same old hard hat and village maps after a year has to take its toll on you. And the final one up on the block is this little gem for the PC, Blacklight Retribution, the follow-up to Blacklight Tango Down. Other than being an all-around great multiplayer game, Blacklight Retribution is a free-to-play title from the guys at Perfect World Entertainment. These guys are always creating some of the greatest free-to-play titles like, for example, Rusty Hearts. So far in Blacklight Retribution I've been playing Team Deathmatch. I haven't reached too far, but so far so good. I was kind of worried when the beta came out. I thought it was going to be a mouse and keyboard only situation, but I guess that was just for the beta. As in Ghost Recon Future Soldier though, I'll get back to this title when I've leveled up a bit more. I tell you this much, if you're a PC gamer who's into the whole first-person shooter multiplayer experience, then you have to download this. It's free and it's a quality title.
Let's check out a few responses to our latest poll.
We asked, how would you prefer your difficulty level raised in a video game? 53% said smarter enemy AI, 6% said dumber squad AI, 12% said longer stages, 6% said weaker character, 24% said why the hell would I want my games harder? Good question. So, I guess smarter enemy AI has it. Now, thanks for participating. Visit us at fabricatedprojects.com to take part in our next poll or to leave a comment for the show. You can also email us at thelabvideogametv@yahoo.com.
On the next episode of The Lab, we'll review Black Ops 2 and Ghost Recon Future Soldier and a whole lot more. It wouldn't be wise to miss this. A special thanks to Fashion for Life for my outfit, Straight Games in Sarvin Center, and to all our gamers, thank you for watching and participating. Until we meet again, you can find us online at fabricatedprojects.com, email us at thelabvideogametv@yahoo.com. You can look us up on Twitter and Facebook. And remember, our game may not never gonna be over. $1 million this month. Alright, don't know.